Our programs and resources help candidates and employers find the right fit for long-term success.
Work is a part of all of us. To turn the corner, visit your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov.
The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views of the staff and management of WVUA 23.
Bringing you analysis and insight into the Crimson Tide. Your Crimson cover hosts, John Copeland, Mike Parker, and Chase Goodbread. Sponsored by Burnham Hahn and by Crimson Village.
Welcome into Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. I'm Chase Goodbread, the sports columnist at the Tuscaloosa News. I'm joined, as always, by former Alabama Consensus All-American John Copeland. Our third co-host, Mike Parker, not around this week either. Hope to get Mike back next week if possible. Wishing Mike all the best as he gets over some health issues. A lot to get into here on this edition of Crimson Cover Television. Wall-to-wall spring football. We're going to be talking spring football throughout the show, really, as Alabama approaches its second scrimmage of the spring. Ajay Hall, the Alabama wide receiver, some news there. He is off to another school. Remains to be seen where. Alabama Hoops updates as well. Transfers in, transfers out. That portal is a busy, busy place here in April. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, Kansas knocking off North Carolina this past Monday. John and I will talk about that game. We'll go around the SEC. We got a lot to get to here on this episode. We start, though, talking Alabama spring practice and the upcoming second scrimmage of the spring. A lot of positions of note that the coaching staff certainly is going to be hoping to get a little bit of a better handle on. Inside linebackers, cornerbacks, wide receivers, and as well offensive linemen, which we'll talk about in the second segment of the show. All of great interest here in this second scrimmage, John, and really the leap, the improvement from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 for some of these guys, I think it's key. And Nick Saban talks about it sometimes, that the guys who can make a jump from 1 to 2, they tend to carry it forward onto A-Day and throughout.
Yeah, Chase, spring practice is all about not necessarily the guys that have started for a year or two. This is more about the guys that's trying to step into those starting role, guys that's trying to get more playing time. But that first week of practice during spring training, you're just kind of getting acclimated to being back out there, trying to get back into the groove of things. But that second week, along with this second scrimmage, that's when you start to show, okay, this is what I can do, this is what I bring to the program. And if you're not able to do that on a consistent basis where you stand out to the coaches, then you're probably going to end up getting left behind.
That inside linebacker position certainly of note next to Henry To'oTo'o, who, of course, is a returning starter. Will it be the veteran Jalen Moody? Will it be a younger guy like the Lawson kid, John? That position at inside linebacker, certainly one to watch. The cornerback spot, Kool-Aid McKinstry figures to be one guy on one side. Eli Ricks, the transfer from LSU, a good bet to be in the mix as well. But Kyrie Jackson, some young guys competing there. We'll see what comes of that. And, of course, you got that nickel position, too, that slot corner, John, which is really, it's a starting position now.
There's no question about it.
It's not a sub position.
That's
so 5 DBs is the count when you're talking about starters for sure. And the wide receiver spot, John, we'll get to offensive lineman next segment, but the wide receiver position definitely in flux for Alabama. Jermaine Burton coming in from Georgia as a transfer. He's going to be the most experienced of all of these guys. Trayshawn Holden, Ja'Cory Brooks not even participating in the spring because of an injury. So I
like Brooks. I like Brooks a lot. I thought Brooks played some meaningful minutes in some big-time ball games. I thought he handled himself well. I thought he made plays when he needed to and we had the chance to. There's talent in that group. There's a lot of talent, not a whole lot of experience if you take Burton out the equation coming from Georgia. But there's talent there. With a quarterback like Young, you don't have to, just don't make mistakes. Just don't try to do too much. And I think this receiving corps is going to be just fine.
All right, we will see who Bryce Young is tossing it around to on A-Day. That, of course, will be on April 16th. Jalen Milroe, the backup quarterback, figures to see a lot of action on A-Day as well. All right, Nick Saban commenting on spring practice a little bit this past week in front of reporters. Talked a little bit about the difference between competition drills, like one-on-one competition drills in practice versus the team reps, the team drills, and noted that some guys show up in those one-on-ones a little bit better than they do on the team side. Here's what he had to say.
You know, I also think that, we're really trying to evaluate guys that are competitors, that go out there and compete every day in every circumstance. We do some competition drills sometime in practice, and it's amazing how guys sort of rise up, whatever, and, really compete in those drills. But yet in the practice reps, they don't have the same energy, they don't have the same intensity, they don't have the same focus. And I think what's really important is you don't get in the mode of enduring practice, that you look at every rep in practice as an opportunity to compete, and you respect the other player. So if he's competing against you and he's doing the best he can and you're doing the best you can to win your box, whatever that is, whether you're playing defensive line, offensive line, corner, receiver, it doesn't matter, that you're really trying to make the other guy better, because you're playing hard against him, he's playing hard against you, and you respect each other for that. I think that goes a long way in helping build respect and trust on the team. When guys do that, I think it helps team chemistry.
Some interesting thoughts there, John, and it's almost to play off the old saying that some guys practice well but don't play well. Nick Saban's talking about within a practice, some guys better in the one-on-ones than they are when you throw it 11 on 11.
Chase, he's talking about like the defensive line, offensive line pass rush drills. You got the DBs and wide receivers, one-on-one drills. Those are competitive situations where you're going against the other side of the ball and you're competing. But when you put everybody together, what he's saying is, seem like the competition level of certain players drop off. I understand, I get it, because if you have a coach watching over you in a drill, competing against the other side of the ball, you're giving your best, you're giving your best effort. But that is not what makes a football player. If you want to be a really good football player, you have to exceed in everything you do. And most importantly, you have to exceed in game-type situation, which means there's 11 on 11, and you have to do your job in those kind of situations, because that is what it's going to be like in the game.
All right, we are going to go just a little bit long here in this first segment so we can get to the news on Ajay Hall, the now former Alabama wide receiver from Valrico, Florida, in the transfer portal. A lot of happenings there the last few days. John, here you see some news that he'd been removed from the roster and was no longer on the team. There's his tweet on top of that. News to me, he said, as if to say, no one's told me that I'm off the team. But the sequence of things, and there you see him against Georgia in the national championship game, played very little in the regular season. However, with injuries, he got on the field a little bit there in that final game. But the sequence of things, John, first he vanished from Alabama's online roster earlier this week. Then it was reported he wasn't going to be on the team anymore. He comes back and says, news to me. Day after that, Nick Saban has a press conference, says he's suspended, but kind of sounds as though it was pretty much over between Ajay Hall and Alabama. And, of course, the news on the heels of that was that he has entered the transfer portal. So off he goes after 1 year at Alabama. Kid had a lot of promise, a lot of physical tools. Maturity was not there.
I find it hard to believe that Nick Saban moved a young man off the team without first letting that young man know and talking to that young man.
Yeah, that doesn't wash.
And it's hard to believe.
But at any rate, Ajay Hall moving on. His suitors in high school included Oklahoma and LSU, Georgia as well. We'll see if he looks to maybe one of those for a transfer. A couple of those schools have new coaches now, so maybe not. Valrico, Florida, of course, kind of near that St. Pete, Tampa area, so maybe USF would be close to home for him. we will see what happens with Ajay Hall. All right, that is going to do it for this segment on Crimson Cover. We got a whole lot more to go, though. Talking some more spring football when we come back. Also, the latest in Alabama basketball. A lot of happenings with Nate Oates' roster as well. Stick around. You're watching Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its third generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services.
First, take a regulation United States Marine obstacle course. The same course every Marine has to master in order to earn the title. Add wooded trails, make it hard, make it muddy. Throw in competitors, a little blood, a little sweat, a little tears, but also a lot of fun. It's a recipe for freaking greatness. Do you have the guts? Tuscaloosa Gauntlet, April 9th. Be there.
As you go about your day, you'll want to know what's happening to keep you ahead. WVUA 23 is all new and keeps you connected to the stories that affect you. Log on to get the latest breaking news, weather, and sports. Enjoy our redesigned look, faster speeds, easier to find features, and more. Watch our news anytime, anywhere with our new and improved live stream so you're up to date anywhere you go. The new and improved WVUA23.com. Log on and stay connected today.
When you want to follow Crimson Tide sports, there's only one show that takes you behind the scenes. The award-winning Tider Insider TV. Join Rodney Orr and Gary Harris every Tuesday night at 6:30 for the latest on all things Crimson. Rodney and Gary provide in-depth analysis, interviews with coaches and players, and much more. Tider Insider TV, Tuesday nights at 6:30. Brought to you by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. This segment brought to you by Burnham Hahn Exterminators and that quality local service right here in Tuscaloosa since 1946. Burnham Hahn offering complete pest and termite services for residential or commercial needs. Mosquito control, fire ant treatments, they do it all. Also licensed operators of the Centricon Termite Colony Elimination System. You've got to have that service if you're a homeowner. So call Clay Hahn and his staff. They'll get you going with a monthly, quarterly pest control program. Call Burnham Hahn today at 553-4433, or you can visit burnhamhahn.com. All right, John, we move on with a little bit more on spring football. The Crimson Tide entering this second scrimmage. The offensive line, probably the biggest question mark on the team entering the spring. I don't think there's any question about it, John. Who's going to play the tackle spots? Are the guard positions even in flux a little bit? Some vets, there's some experience coming back. They lost a couple starters at tackle. They need 2 new tackles. Your experience is on the interior for the most part. However, this second scrimmage and A-Day, those are going to be key dates for these guys to show what they can do and step forward and show the coach and staff they can step into a starting role.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you talk about this offensive line, and you lose, in my opinion, when you talk about the offensive line, you lose the the two most important people on the offensive line, and that is your right and left tackle. Left tackle being the most important. You keep the centerpiece, which is the center, who make all the calls up front, and I think that is a plus. But if you don't have a good guy on the left side of your line of scrimmage to protect the quarterback backside, then you're going to have a whole lot of trouble. What I do like about this, though, Chase, with spring practice, you can have a lot of movement. You can stick a lot of guys in a lot of different places and figure it out and figure out who's best where, and you can't do that within a season. So I think the talent is there. I think it's going to take a little bit of razzle-dazzle to kind of figure out who those guys are going to be. But I think the talent is there, and I think eventually they'll figure it out.
You know, it's interesting. The left tackle spot, as you noted, is especially important because that guy is going to be protecting the blind side of a right-handed quarterback. Mm-hmm. However, over the year, it used to be that was the end. That was the end of the discussion, and the right tackle was more of an afterthought. Now, in this day and age, the right tackle is almost as important as the left tackle because what you have now is a lot of defensive coordinators, if they see a serious mismatch over there with that right tackle, they'd rather put the star pass rusher over there and just go ahead and let him eat up that right tackle and come at that quarterback from the front side.
I agree, and I disagree. Because here's why I say that. It's hard to take a right-sided defensive guy and move him to the left side. It's like you take him out of his comfort zone. Now, if you got a guy that can rush effectively from both sides, then yeah, you're right. But if you got a guy that is strictly a right-sided guy and you put him to the left side,
right,
then he's going to be out of his comfort zone.
Right. And the other, what goes along with that is more teams have two good edge rushers now than they used to be. Everybody had one. A lot of teams have two.
That's right.
So there you have it.
They'll put that one guy on the right side and try to get behind the quarterback, yes.
No doubt. All right, Nick Saban asked about the flux on the offensive line, taking a look at some tackles at guard, taking a look at a couple of guards at the tackle position. That continues as spring practice moves along. Here's what Nick Saban had to say about that.
We don't have enough offensive linemen that everybody doesn't have to, sort of rotate around and do a lot of different things. So we'll continue to evaluate it. Guys are making progress, and but it hasn't settled down because we have a lot of guys that we only got 10 or 11 guys that are able to practice in the offensive line. All right, so we're trying to practice 3 or 4 teams of guys, so guys have to mix and match. We have 7 guys per group, and they have to rotate around. Is it important that we build continuity in the offensive line right now? I think the diversity that we gain from the experience that guys get at various positions is probably more important right now than worrying about what you're worried about. But, we do have some guys that are making progress at tackle, and hopefully they'll continue to improve throughout the spring.
All right, there you have it from Nick Saban, John. 10, 11 healthy guys.
You know what I like about that video more than anything he said?
What's that?
He's a hand talker.
Right.
He took his hands and stuck up on his arms so he don't talk with his hand. That's awesome, Nick. That's awesome.
All right, we flip it to Alabama basketball news a little bit, a lot actually on that front. Juwan Gary, the Alabama forward, has been around for 3 years. He announces he is exiting, heading on to the transfer portal. Good post player for Alabama, got a lot of rebounds.
He didn't fit this system.
Every system needs a big man, though, John.
Yeah, but he's a half-court kind of guy.
He is.
He's not a three-point shooter. He's not going to be able, and Alabama did not want the ball to go to the post. So he wasn't going to get a lot of touches. When he did get a touch here or there, he was going to be out of position. He just did not fit this system.
Juwan Gary, the 4th Alabama player to enter the transfer portal in terms of outgoing players. Incoming, however, the latest news, Alabama picks up a transfer portal guy by the name of Mark Sears. He is a guard from Ohio University out of the MAC. Averaged 19.5 points a game for Ohio last year, John. He's from Muscle Shoals originally. Averaged 6 rebounds a game, John, and he's only 6'1", 185. I don't know how a guy 6'1", 185 gets 6 rebounds a game. He must be able to really get off the floor.
I don't know. I mean, the guys in the MAC, All of them about that size, though, right?
Nah. There's some big guys in that
can't
league.
be many.
I think that's surprising to me in just about any league. 6'1", 6'1". J.D. Davison, by the way, on some first-round boards for the NBA draft, according to
leaving?
Nate Oates. J.D. Davison?
Yeah.
Though, I don't think he should, but I think there's a good chance he will. West Virginia transfer forward Jalen Bridges going to be visiting Alabama this weekend. Jaden Shackelford on his way out, entering the NBA draft. So
he should.
There's your update.
He should.
On Alabama basketball. Yeah, Shackelford time to if he doesn't make money in the NBA, he'll be able to go overseas and make good money there.
You got get killed at. I get it, but don't nobody want to go overseas.
Nobody wants to, but everybody wants to keep playing ball as long as they can.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
That's all I'm saying.
But if I'm coming out and I got another year, my goal ain't to miss the NBA draft and go play overseas. If I'm coming out, then I'm going to be playing in the NBA if I'm coming out early.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if he's an NBA player. He's a heck of a shooter.
I think he is.
All right, we'll see. Great season by your Lakers, by the way. All right, coming back.
That's a low blow.
On Crimson Cover, we got a whole lot more to come. We'll talk about that NCAA final and plenty more. You're watching CCTV on WVUA 23.
Oh, that's a low blow, Chase.
I made
It's good to know that in this impersonal world, there's still a local home-owned drugstore that can take full care of you and your family. The good folks at Northport Pharmacy. Owner and pharmacist Rob Colburn will personally see that all of your prescriptions are quickly and accurately filled and your questions answered. And be sure to check out their gift gallery for the finest in gift selections featuring Alabama merchandise, photo frames, children's clothing, beachwear, jewelry, and more. Remember, when you have pharmaceutical needs, see the man who will take the time to get to know you. Rob Colburn at Northport Pharmacy, located next to CC's Pizza, Highway 82 in Northport.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its third generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services.
What you do every day matters. At Alabama, it's our process that yields legendary results. This is where ideas forge innovation, dreams unleash opportunities, and contenders become champions. How far do you want to go? The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
As AmeriCorps members and volunteers, we do more than talk about our core values. We take action and commit to making our community stronger.
At AmeriCorps, my commitment to equity gives every student a strong start.
Our compassion brings food and friendship to neighbors in need.
My determination protects parks in my community.
Now more than ever, your community needs you. What's at your core? Learn more at AmeriCorps.gov.
We want to hear your good news stories and be a bright spot. Share your stories with us. Visit us online and click on Bright Spots or message us on social media.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. This segment brought to you by Crimson Village, the most active and fun-loving aging adult community in Tuscaloosa. Residents there get the finest in dining and lifestyle experience with extensive amenities. Me and John have been there. The amenities are fantastic. Great location right off of Veterans Memorial Parkway. Crimson Village offers 3 levels of care, including the Tide Memory Care Program. They take the highest of precautions when it comes to COVID-19. So call transition specialist Tim Eads at 632-6699 or visit crimsonvillage.com. And remember, Crimson Village owns fun. All right, we're going to own some fun here in this final segment, John. Talking NCAA tournament, it wrapped up this past Monday night. Kansas knocking off North Carolina 72-69, the final score. A wild game, a game that Kansas jumped out early to a 9-0 lead, and then North Carolina dominated the rest of the first half. I think they were up 15 or so at the half, maintained a pretty good lead fairly deep into the second half, but then, John, Kansas just makes this big run. I thought their big men did a lot of damage in the paint. They end up nipping the Tar Heels 72-69.
The better team won, Chase. I think North Carolina came out on a high in that first half. I thought they played well the first half. I thought Kansas got off a little slow. But whatever was said in that Kansas locker room during halftime worked. It came out, and the better team won, in my opinion.
It was a battle of big men too, which I like. You know me, I like big man basketball.
Yeah, it was. I think Kansas big man, he didn't play as well as people giving him credit for. He played well on the defensive end of the floor, but he made 2 huge shots at the end of the basketball game. But I think their small forward for Kansas played phenomenal.
And then you had the kid from North Carolina who busted his ankle for the second game in a row, went out the last minute of the game.
Which really hurt.
It hurt. I don't feel like it cost North Carolina the game, but they missed him. They needed him.
No doubt.
There's no question about it. So Kansas, your national champions, knocking off the North Carolina Tar Heels in the NCAA final. All right, John, we go around the SEC. For this part of Crimson Cover, a little bit of news for you around the league. Kentucky basketball forward Bryce Hopkins enters the transfer portal. He was a top 40 recruit, if I'm not mistaken, for the Wildcats. Big name there for sure. Arkansas quarterback Lucas Coley entering that transfer portal as well. And finally, Auburn's Jabari Smith declares for the NBA draft. John, Jabari Smith, a phenomenal player.
He could be a 1 or 2 pick.
He top 5.
Easily top 5. Yeah. I'm thinking 1 or 2.
He's a special player. Yes. The NBA is going to be all over him. There's no question about it. Jabari Smith, you know Nate Oates is glad to see him be a one and done.
That's right.
Out of that Bruce Pearl program. All right, we go to the Crimson Cover ticker now. A little bit of news for you there. Former Titans linebacker Rashaan Evans out of Alabama. He signs with the Atlanta Falcons. Former Alabama offensive coordinator Bruce Arians steps down as the Bucs head coach. He's now going to be a consultant, I believe, in that Bucs front office for you. So that's all we got in the ticker. We close it out with a mailbag question. This week, question comes from Fran from Birmingham. If you want to hit us with a mailbag question, go to crimsoncover.com. Click the mailbag icon if you can. Does UA have its NIL collective organized yet? John, we've only got about 20 seconds to go here on Crimson Cover.
If they don't, they will.
There you go. And the word I get on that is that it's in the works. Hadn't happened yet, but it's being talked about, and some things are happening for sure behind closed doors.
My opinion, I think
we're out on Crimson Cover. For John, I'm Chase. We'll see you next week.
The Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites in Tuscaloosa invites you to come and experience our award-winning hotel and exceptional hospitality. We are located just minutes from the Alabama campus and area shopping. If it's business, shopping, groups, or family that bring you to town, call us to book your stay. Once you have stayed with us, you'll understand. We welcome you as our guests, and you depart as our friends. The Holiday Inn Express.
Welcome to Baseball Country, a ministry in West Alabama that reaches far outside the diamond. We create opportunities for people of all ages and backgrounds to encounter Jesus. From baseball and softball training for high school to the big leagues, to men's and women's team sports camps, men's and women's ministry, youth mentored hunts, service projects, custom retreats, and so much more. If you want to get in the game, email sam@baseballcountry.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
I love the genuine love Mrs. Egan has for her students. She's always texting my father to let him know about my progress. She loves her students as if we were all her own children.
I'm very grateful that